Hi, my name is Clark Yuan, and I'm the founder and CEO of Stitch3D. We're building a cloud-native platform to host, view, and analyze 3D point cloud data from anywhere with ease.
Hello everyone, my name is Clark, and I am the founder and CEO of Stitch3D. For the last 2 years, my team and I have been building a cloud-native platform that makes it possible for anyone to view and share 3D data right in the cloud. But first, let me tell you a quick story. So 10 years ago, when I was deployed to Afghanistan as an Army intelligence officer, we were using this really cool technology called LIDAR for 3D laser mapping. Now, LIDAR data would give us great information about things like the slope of a mountainside road or the crater volumetrics from a roadside bomb. Only there was a huge problem, and that problem was data accessibility. You see, the way that we were sharing LIDAR data in Afghanistan was literally by sending out runners with backpacks of hard drives just to get the data to that one analyst who had the magical LIDAR software downloaded to their computer. And then only that analyst would be able to see the 3D files. I'd end up looking at just a screenshot on a PowerPoint. So there was always this friction in terms of working with 3D files, and this was not unique to the military. Here's Erlich Bachman from the 2014 Disrupt putting it nicely.
It's 132 gigabytes uncompressed, and it's a 3D video file.
3D file?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? God damn it. Can we handle this?
I guess we'll find out.
Now, all Silicon Valley jokes aside, that was 10 years ago, yet people today are still shipping hard drives when it comes to sharing 3D files. And this is because 3D data is complex. Not only are we talking about file sizes that can range from a few megabytes to a terabyte or more, but there are also a lot of different types of point cloud formats out there, so interoperability is a real pain. And by the way, your Google Drives and Dropboxes of the world can't view any of these files. So it's become fairly clear that even though LiDAR hardware is now more accessible than ever, a broken digital infrastructure is keeping all this value locked up. The non-engineers of the world simply can't view 3D files right now. So we believe pretty strongly that if this industry is to take off, 3D data processing has to go to the cloud, and the US military is investing behind this next big revolution. The Air Force has awarded Stitch3D 6 R&D contracts worth $1.8 million to go re-engineer cloud architecture and make 3D data universal. Not just for the military, but for industry at large. Let me show you what we built. All right, so what you're seeing here is the core Stitch3D platform, and what we've done is we've re-engineered the backend so the upload pipeline can handle point cloud files of any type or size. And we've hidden all this complexity behind a very familiar UI, because at the end of the day, we want the non-engineers to come on here and be able to use the platform, so you can go to your shared folders and see who shared a file with you. Now, unlike a Dropbox, where you can't actually view the 3D files, here we can go right to a 13 megabyte file and open it up, or what I'm going to show you is this 39 gigabyte file of Lahaina. And we're streaming this right into the browser. Now, Lahaina is a unique data set because for those of you who remember, Lahaina was completely burned to the ground after the wildfires on Maui last year. So the government is in the recovery efforts, and they requested LiDAR data to help with the analysis. So the first thing you can do with LiDAR is that it's geo-referenced. So you can actually map it to where it is in the world. And we can go to the settings here and change up the navigation controls for easier maneuverability. We can also see things like the terrain elevation, right? So if we want to see the slope of the terrain, we can do that. What's really cool, though, is you can actually classify objects in 3D. So the government, for example, if they want to see how many structures are still standing, that's it. You know, it looks like this community was protected, but everything else was completely burned to the ground. So if we turn on the unclassified data here, this is everything that's been burned to the ground, which is really sad. You know, they've done a good job of removing the debris, but now they're in the process of analyzing the amount of data or the amount of material that needs to come onto the island for the reconstruction efforts. So one thing we can do to help them with that effort is do things like stockpile analysis. And this is a really cool 3D feature that we initially built for the Air Force to analyze bomb craters, but you know, it's a small island, so there's not a lot of real estate, so they need to track everything that's coming on the island. So here we can go to a stockpile volume and hit calculate. And once the analysis has been completed, you can simply share that data out using just an email or a public URL. You no longer have to ship hard drives. And for those who are curious, there is a dark mode. So as you can see from that demo, LiDAR data is not just a military application. Far from it. For example, there's Ryan, who's out there with his LIDAR, or iPhone LIDAR, mapping traffic accidents for police investigations. And there's Daniel, who's taking a LIDAR drone to map golf courses for EA Games. Or Brian, who's doing 3D terrestrial laser scanning to draw buildings up for large renovation projects. All these small businesses have previously struggled to share 3D data with their clients, just like I experienced in the military, but with Stitch3D, they can simply share a URL over text or email. And there are a lot of these small businesses out there. And we believe that these are the folks that are going to help usher in the next $100 billion market, which is the 3D data market. So we're building our product first to serve the SMB segment of this market because we believe that they are the bellwethers. Already, we're generating $1,800 of MRR, and we have 0% churn, and our customer base is growing at a 25% clip month over month right now. And there will be a time when we have to build vertical integration to tools and plugins, but when that time comes, we will have a strong recurring base of revenue to operate from. And one more thing. Today, I'm so excited to be able to launch our newest product right here at TechCrunch, which is the Stitch3D iPhone app. It's available for iPhone and iPad Pros. So as you're seeing here, I'm basically just scanning the TechCrunch stage, and then I was able to save this data and share it with my friends, which is pretty cool. So for those in the audience who are maybe just 3D curious, you can go ahead and download the app and try it out for yourself today. We built all this with a very small team of engineers and with only $700,000 of pre-seed funding. So if you're excited about a future that is 3D, come join us on our journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Stitch3D judges.
You described a lot of end markets there, and I could see, so you're basically making LIDAR accessible, which I think, especially with the advent of LIDAR imagery kind of becoming more ubiquitous, is a really good goal. But with lots of opportunity, military, et cetera, and it sounds like you've gotten a foothold with some R&D contracts in that space. But how do you think about the other markets and which you would go to first, second, third? Do you need to have vertical focus?
So I think we were pretty strategic in terms of saying we want to attack the SMB market first because, quite frankly, we don't really know where the most traction is going to come from in terms of a vertical use case. So we're casting a wide net. The SMBs are the surveyors out there. They're getting hired by the construction companies, by forestry companies, by utility companies, oil and gas, and we can then start to pick and choose which industries we really want to attack with vertical features. The important thing here is that nobody can really share 3D data right now, so that problem is pretty ubiquitous. So we're solving for that problem first, and then as more data starts to come in, we talk to more of our users, we can then really be smart about which vertical features we want to build, and it's always a trade-off with time and money.
Are you going beyond LIDAR then? It looks like with your iPhone app, you're using maybe NERFs or something else. Are you considering going beyond these different types of ways of visualizing a 3D environment?
So not right now. And the app you saw is it's just a point cloud capture. There's no AI imaging there, so there's no Gaussian splatting, there's no NERFs. It's just a pure point cloud.
Okay.
And the reason why we decided to do that is because when you're talking about AI imaging, a lot of times you lose some of the accuracy that you would get with a point cloud. And our core market base are the surveyors and engineers, and accuracy for them matters a lot more than a high quality picture that you get from a NERF or a Gaussian splat. So I think for right now, we want to stay focused on making point clouds more accessible. Down the road, we can already view meshes on our platform, but I think we want to build out the tools a little bit more for point clouds and really kind of capture that market before we attack the meshes.
Okay.
I understand your focus of casting a wide net, but what's your intuition? Is there a segment in the SME which is dying for this kind of a solution, right? Like they'll jump up on the ceiling and say like, hey, I was looking for this, I'm ready. Otherwise, it's very expensive to go after the SME market, especially with the numbers you were showing, right? Like, so are you getting any early signals or still you're trying to figure it out?
I love that question. So yes, there is definitely early signal in the market, and that signal for us is coming from drone surveyors. There's an enabling platform right now with drones becoming more accessible, whereas surveyors before, if they wanted to go survey a large mountainous area, it would take them weeks because they would have to climb up the mountain, set up their equipment. It's a very hard day's work. Now they can put the LIDAR platform or LIDAR equipment on the drone platform, fly it in a few hours, get a high quality data like you saw with Lahaina, and that data is game changing, right? You can cover a really large area using just a 1 or 2 person team, and so they are screaming for this data because they can't easily share a 39 gigabyte file with the government of Hawaii. who don't have LiDAR software downloaded to their desktop. So if they can just show them the visualization as soon as they're done flying it, there's a huge ROI for that. And we think there are a lot of these surveyors now that are going to transition over to drone services because of how just easy it is to go fly a drone.
So why not just focus on that? Why cast such a wide net? That was an earlier question, right? Like, if you're seeing the signals and seems the ROI, what are you afraid of? Just go in and just make that happen.
So
Is
we
it
are
like a small market, or what's your worry?
So I would maybe push back a little bit on that because I don't think it is actually differentiated between a drone surveyor or a construction surveyor. They're all small businesses, and tech does not really serve that segment of the market, and they don't have the money to build it in-house. And right now, what everyone really needs is just a way to deliver data really fast. Now, we are starting to build vertical tools, and what I didn't show in the product is we've already released 2 in-app features for drone surveyors, and that's ground classification and digital elevation modeling and contour lines. Now, these will be priced as in-app services that's charged based on usage. So in the short term, that will help us drive revenue with that market, but we want to focus, primarily on a data platform, add in the vertical tools where it makes sense, and then, if we see construction, for example, starting to ask us for a lot of features, we can put that into our roadmap, but be smart about it.
If I'm a drone surveyor or construction company, how do I think about the cost of this? Is it an expense to me of something that I'm doing? It offsets labor? Is it something I charge through to an end customer? Like, what does that model look like?
Yeah, for the surveyors, it's definitely the latter. Before, when the software was really expensive and processing would take a lot of time, that cost would get passed on to the end customer as just basically part of the overall quote. We're offering it super cheap. Right now, we're just charging it for storage, so it's $20, $50, $100 a month for to basically cast a wide net, because not only do we want to capture the service providers, we want to capture the folks that they were providing that services to. And by making it really accessible, we're hoping to really start to generate a lot of user volume on the platform. But historically, though, that cost is passed on to the end user, and I think for us, we can just give them a much better margin.
Who will be the end user that you're talking about now?
So the end users could be like the military, it could be ExxonMobil, it could be General Motors, it could be a utilities company that has hundreds of miles of pipeline that they need to survey, and they don't want to send a crew out there. So it's really about the future digital transformation is going towards reality capture, and the industries that are starting to realize this are primarily right now in construction and real asset owners, because they see the utility of how fast you can get a 3D model onto the cloud and then be able to share that out to your team and make decisions off of that. But down the road, we think you can be very creative with this. Law enforcement, insurance, mining, there's a lot of industries that can use 3D reality capture.
Down the road, that's how you can become a data platform, is by having more end users like that.
That's right.
Beyond the surveyor.
Right. We think the surveyors are our channel partners
Correct.
into a lot of these industries, because they're the ones being contracted out. But yeah, down the road, it's mostly.
But those users, for them, it's very specific. This particular site, this particular building, and so forth. So it's not much of a platform play. It's just more of a tool.
That's 100% right. The surveyors do have focus. So some surveyors might be really good at scanning railways, or other surveyors might be really good at flying utility lines, given you need to fly through the trees. So they are segmented to kind of within that industry already. But for us, everyone just needs a platform to share 3D right now.
The SMB market has historically been expensive to access, and the ACVs seem relatively low. Are there natural channels or allies that can help you get to it, whether it's a platform or a drone company or whatever it may be?
So I think what we've realized is that this community is actually very tight-knit. Everyone's kind of looking for an edge, but at the same time, they're also looking to help each other out. So there's a lot of word of mouth going on right now in Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups where people are sharing best practices in terms of how do you share 3D data? What kind of drones are you using? And the cool thing about us is before, people were basically posting photos on those platforms, on those networks, community groups, and now they're posting a Stitch3D link, which takes them right to our viewer. It's super easy to sign up, and we're hoping that will help generate a lot of user activity and user growth for us just through a simple PLG playbook. And the cool thing about SMBs is that if you just look at the construction industry alone, 98% of the firms in that industry are SMBs. There's only a few large primes that they're all servicing, but we think that's an undertapped market that we can go out and help.
Okay, give it up for Stitch3D.